Website could load. Thank you. What you looking like, Twitch?
A hot mess, as always.
The same
Check
as
out the
always.
stream from 8 seconds ago. Oh, that was so loud. Sorry. The one time that Twitch is loud. All right, we're live on both. Yay. Oh, I didn't even check what the title is. Hopefully it's right. Oh, well, who cares? Hi, Internet. Welcome to the show. As it is. All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Feyroor. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hi.
And the Nymph.
Hello.
Okay, let's start off with the beginning. Of course, patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones, numbers, etc.
That's right. You know the deal. You're probably a patron. If you are, I don't know what happened in the Outcast this week. I don't think any of us were totally conscious for it. So
we're all sick. We're all tired. We're all punishing ourselves in one way or another, and we're just in time for 2 weeks to recover and go back to the grindstone.
That's right. That's right. So happy Thanksgiving. It got real weird. As we're talking about Outcast, that's our uncensored exclusive episode over there. If you want to hear us talk about non-video game stuff, we have a little bit of video game stuff this week, but nothing too major. We're not spoiling the main show or anything. And you get early access to We Roguelike It, the show where Moon and I are just trying to play as many roguelikes as humanly possible, and there's so many. Stop making games. I gotta catch up. For 2 years.
All I'm saying is we deserve a fully fledged livable wage from our patrons so that we can just do that.
That's right. Weekly Critical Misses episodes, weekly We Were Like It episodes. You'd get it all. Tell your rich friend, unless he's Elon Musk. I don't want his money.
And then we'd kill each other because we see each other too much at that point.
That's right. The magic would finally break, and that'd be the end.
So this guy again.
That's right. You get early access to Critical Misses, a show where Moon and I are catching up on all the media hits we missed. Don't forget, if you're $5 or higher tier, get the patron-exclusive production meeting for Critical Misses, where we're kind of planning future seasons, doing psychic damage to each other. Just recorded Season 18's production meeting, which went in a really wild direction. That is also uncensored, which I should probably make mention of before you listen to that episode. Because it's extremely uncensored in that one. So all of that stuff, we release so much audio on there every week. All of that can be found patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers. I still can't believe what we're doing for the next season, dude.
It's so stupid and I love it. 2 thumbs up. Couple of quick production meetings here. We have a brand new episode of Game Club out, if you're listening to the audio version of this right now, where we talked about Immortality. I will mention, I think the first minute of that episode is not spoilers, and then literally the rest of it is every spoiler possible for Immortality. So if you haven't played it, it's on Game Pass. Please go play it. It is certainly a singular experience. Please play it with a controller. It makes the whole experience easier, as easy as it can be. If you want to check out the game we're going to play for January, that's Pentiment. That's also on Game Pass. That's Obsidian's new classic murder mystery Latin thing. So go check that out. That'll be January's episode. And we have a special end of year episode for Game Club for December, where if you've listened for the last couple of years, it's largely the same thing. And speaking of end of year stuff, we are coming closer to the predictions and Game of the Year episodes, and as always, we need your help. If you're on the Discord server. You've already seen this message, but I have the 2 documents up for all the community members to add your predictions for the predictions episode and pick your, essentially the community game of the year by clicking on both those links. They are pinned in the general channel on the Discord server. So go ahead and check those out if you're listening to this on release. If you're not listening to this on release, sorry, it's probably not live anymore. But we do need your help for both of those episodes. You filling out those forums helps the shows a lot. And the more responses we get for those, the better. So go check out both of those out on the Discord server. That's all the production stuff. That's our episode. Bye. Moon, what do you have for this past week?
Oh boy. So unfortunately I was busy and ill and many other things this week. So I really, and also Game Club game kind of stole a lot of time away.
Mm-hmm.
I really only have 2 games, and that's Dead by Daylight. We did our usual Friday Night Lights routine.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine. We played for a couple of hours. We had some wins, we had some losses. Rob continues his streak of at least once a week being the only person alive who escapes through the hatch.
Okay.
So everybody else gets killed, and then randomly every week he will find the hatch and escape, like the giant Chad he is, according to the kids of the internet these days.
Sure. The lucky so-and-so.
Yes. But, it's Dead by Daylight. It's fun, it's stupid, it's great. We're having a good time doing it. I don't know. The only other thing I really had time for this week, because I was busy with everything else going on, was Marvel Snap.
Yes, I played too much of that this week.
Yeah.
I played 2 matches.
Okay.
And that screen gets bright.
Uh-huh.
a lot of flash in there, yeah.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I got my brightness all the way down and my volume all the way down too, just to be safe.
3D.
Yeah.
Shiny logo.
Because otherwise it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm almost at level 40 for the season.
I'm getting close to.
I think I'm at 39 and 2 cubes.
Okay.
I think I'm like 28 or something.
I think I'm like 36 or 37. I'm getting pretty close.
But like, I feel bad because like I'm going up against a huge variety of decks now. And I keep seeing cards that I really, really want. And then refusing to build a deck associated with that type of card until I have that type of card.
Oh, sure.
So I found like 3 to 6 more cards for the destruction deck that I have. I found massive improvements to that. I have 3 of the 6 that I would like to have for it.
Okay.
But I don't have all 6, so I refuse to tweak my deck until I have all 6.
Sure. I mean, that's fair, because like at some point those are kind of the linchpins of that deck are going to be, this one relies on that one, and this one relies on 2 other ones, and deck building.
So let me tell you about Venom.
Yeah. I've had one of the core cards in my setup is Agent 13, which brings a random card from at any card that exists in the game. It will bring it into your hand. I have had a couple Venoms lately, and that's been pretty good.
So I had a couple of people running a Venom Autumn Zola Death deck.
Oh my. That's spicy.
Man, we are getting into like Magic the Gathering crap here.
I know.
Here's my Slithers Queensland deck. And...
Right.
Yes. But, Venom does the same thing Carnage does, except Venom absorbs the power level, so you can throw Sabretooth down, and Venom will get +6 and still have a Sabretooth left.
Right.
So he did that, and he bounced this Venom to, like, 20 power or something like that.
Wow.
Then he Arnhem Zola'd it, which destroys a random card from that location, and then copies it to other locations.
Yep.
And then promptly those 2 Venoms at the other cards that were at that location and did a huge other chain reaction. And then he had a 0 cost death card by the turn 6. So he dropped Apocalypse and Death on me on the final turn.
So you lost each location by like 40 points.
Uh-huh.
Wow,
And
that's wild.
I was like, great. just fantastic. Thanks.
I guess one of the key parts of my deck is armor, and if anyone doesn't play Marvel Snap, essentially protects both sides of one lane, so cards can't be destroyed. So if I see someone throw like a card and then Nova down, I throw armor right there, and I'm like, I'm just gonna stop you from whatever you're doing. I can see this coming a mile away, and you're not gonna do that. Thank you.
So I do the same for in my disruption deck, which is just to mess up people's game plans. I have a similar thing, which is if I see them drop a Nova down, I throw Electro down and immediately take that thing out, because it's like, I'm not letting you throw 5 other cards on the field to get +1. I'm taking this out and eating the +1 that you're going to get instead.
Yep, that's great.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I've played a lot this week. I feel like thanks to the Discord server, we have a bunch of people that are playing it right now, and I floated my deck over there. I think it was this week or last week, and sort of said like, I really love this deck that I have, which has no real theme to it. It's just kind of like this deck really clicks with me for whatever reason, and they were a huge help to figure out how I could kind of improve. I had a bunch of cards that weren't as good as cards that cost the exact same, so they were able to help me by saying like, well, you can swap this card out for the exact same like cost and power over here, but it does an additional thing on top of it. And I was like, all right, so now my deck is, I've been winning a lot with a really weird deck, and I'm having a lot of luck with it, and it's just a weird deck.
I saw Bill's Patriot deck, I think it was.
Yeah,
and it's like, man, I have Patriot. I could really rock this, because I'm the deck I'm using right now is the movement deck, and I'm at the point where I'm getting a huge, like, all of my cards now are gold and like vibrant red backgrounds. So I'm at that point where it's like, well, I'm like one upgrade away from Ultra on all of these cards,
right?
So I think if I build another deck and start using primarily that deck, then that's a whole bunch more upgrades and collection levels and faster cards I can get, essentially. And so I was looking at his Patriot deck, and I was like, I don't use any of those cards.
Here we go.
I don't use any of those in my regular run.
Right.
So I did tweak my movement deck. I had Angela in, I took Angela out and moved to something else instead. While Angela was in my deck, because I didn't care about her, I didn't ever upgrade her.
Oh, okay.
But because the way they have it's tilted now towards like, they will usually give you more upgrade points for cards that don't have that many upgrade points, or don't have that many upgrades.
Yeah, like the lower points you have, the more likely it is to give you. Yeah.
My Angela, I think, is blue.
Okay.
And I think I have 75 boosters waiting for her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I just kept getting boosters for her, and I was like, okay, I guess. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But Marvel Snap, I love that game.
It's really great. I think the sign that I really like playing this game is, they have the kind of the missions and then the seasonal missions. As soon as I'm done with all of those, I'm just continuing to play. It's not like, oh, well, I did all the missions. I'll come back tomorrow. It'll be 6 hours. I'll just come back. I'm like, no, I could play a couple more matches. Sure, why not? Like, why? And keep getting a bunch of points. So it's a good sign.
Can we pull one out for Mackie as well for the nightmare situations that he seems to have found himself in? Speaking of the Discord,
but poor Mackie has just really gotten the short end of the stick for matches, in a really bummer way that I feel like the matchmaking and the MMR behind the scenes has done him dirty in a way that is frustrating to see him go through that as someone who really enjoys the game, and the game is just kind of like kicking him in the giblets time and time again. So
did he get punched up a grade level? And
he did. He moved into pool 3 and then was promptly stomped.
Yeah, his MMR is like not settled in yet. Because I feel like I ran into the same thing too, which was like, here, I'm starting a new pool. I'm fighting against a bunch of cards I have never seen before, and everybody seems to be really good. And maybe like a week or two after that, I feel like my ranking finally kind of settled, and I'm fighting against people that are more my level right now, which has been nice.
I think the difference is we both did that at the end of a season, whereas he did it right at the beginning of a season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the timing was not on his side, unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh, I love this game.
Yeah, Marvel Snap is great. Everyone should go play it because it still does not have its hands in your pockets, which is great. I'm waiting for the other few to drop, but hopefully it does not until I'm sick of the game.
I'm actually kind of curious to see what they do with this. I mean, not that they need to do anything with it right now, but just to see what it turns into.
It's been interesting. I didn't realize someone on Reddit posted a really good thread because I guess the developers are really active on their Discord, which is like a nightmare sentence. But they've been posting a lot of development info over there. And a lot of what they're talking about is pretty straightforward stuff of like, we know it's frustrating to unlock cards in the third pool. So before the end of the year, we're going to put a system together where you like get tokens by opening the chests, the caches in pool 3, and then you can use those to buy a specific card that you're looking for. Like, I'm really looking for Agatha Harkness, and I cannot get a copy of it, so I could just save up those tokens to go buy that one specifically. So like between that, they're like, well, we want to do that. We just want to like add a new card every month if we can, and then they're looking to do friend matches. So like you can play against another friend. It's a different system than the main game. They won't be using the cubes to snap. They'll be using, each person has like 10 health, and you play match after match with the same deck until someone loses all their health.
Oh, okay.
So, which is kind of a cool idea, and I think that's a smart way. Oh, and they're working on an unranked system where it's like, if you don't care about the seasonal ranking, whatever, like the 1 to 100 ranking thing, you can just play unranked, so you don't have to worry about it.
I don't even have issues with this ranked version either, though. Probably because we're all in the same pool. But I mean, like, I don't. It doesn't have the stigma like ranked normally does have. Where it's like, no, you only go in there when you know you can kill one person at least.
Yeah. Well, and I largely just don't care about it. Like, I never really snap. I only snap maybe on turn 4 or 5 if I know 100% I'm going to win. But I usually don't. And like, I've been a lot better about retreating, where it's like, if someone on turn 3 just dropped something super hot, I'm like, nah, I'm out. Like, I know where this is going to go. I might be able to win this, but I would rather lose 1 cube as opposed to, like, maybe lose 4. But I don't care that much at the end of the day, which is kind of nice.
Just dump them all. Put your pride on the line.
That's right. Well, I did have my first ego match. So one of the zones you can get is Ego the Living Planet, and he plays both people's deck for you. And as soon as that showed up, both my opponent and I snapped at the same time. We're just like, look, we're both going to snap. 8 is on the line. Just whatever happens, happens. It like we're not escaping from this one. Just let it ride. And I think I won that one, but it was a pretty close one.
I really, 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 really now want to see an Ego versus Agatha match. Who wins?
Yep. Yeah, I actually, Agent 13 got pulled in Agatha for me this week on turn 1, and I lost very badly. It played really badly, so that's fine. That's how it goes. It's all right.
See, I'm curious. I think a Patriot deck with Agatha would work out pretty nicely.
Sure, yeah.
Because a Patriot deck is all about having cards with no skills. Whereas if Agatha is your go-to card and you have a Patriot and a no skills deck in there, it might work out in your favor.
Yeah, I'll have to try that one whenever I get Agatha one of these months. Boo-hoo. Yeah.
Don't lie, you're gonna grind for her tonight, and then you're gonna get her.
Well, the thing is, like, I can't. That's the like frustrating part about unlocking cards in Pool 3 right now is the caches that you can open can have a new card or a variant, some credits, some gold. Like, it can have all of this stuff. So if you have a specific card that you really want, you just kind of have to keep upgrading cards to get there, and there's no real. It's kind of a frustrating system at the moment.
RNG your way to it.
I know. Someday, hopefully, man. But yeah, Marvel Snap, 2 thumbs up.
Yep, that's all I've been playing. Nimp, take it away. Get away from me. I'm tired.
All right. I haven't played anything this week, so I'm going to talk about Pokemon Violet because I did pick that up for my son, and he's been playing it, and I watched him play it.
Okay.
And I'll start by saying there are a lot of things online about how the game is broke. We, and you guys know my background and my son's background, have not come across any of these glitches really.
Oh wow.
Or bugs or issues. There's been a lot of issues of just like characters disappearing, frame drop rates,
falling through the world.
Yeah,
it's got a little bit of everything.
Yep, that has not happened in his game so far.
Okay.
He has had his trainer randomly disappear during a battle, but it did not impact anything.
Okay.
And they just popped back in as soon as, the camera, popped perspective. So that it wasn't impacting anything. It was just weird. And he had another one that he actually took a video recording of on the Switch where his little dragon motorcycle thing, at some point you can get it to glide, or maybe it always can. I don't know. At some point when he was gliding down a cliff, it disappears. And so your character is just in midair straddle.
It's just doing the invisible bike.
Yeah, just slowly going down. So,
that's great.
And then it just showed back up again. So it's not been anything horrific. But watching him play it, I mean, it looks like a lot like Arceus, basically, with the sprocket open world kind of thing that they got going on. You're playing it looks like you're starting out as like an academy student. You're not just like a Pokemon trainer. You're just, hey, this is the Three Houses Pokemon version.
Oh, wild.
You're in House Grape because you picked the purple one.
Right.
And so your headmaster shows up and he says, hey, these are the 3 Pokemon that you can pick. You've got your leaf cat, your fire alligator looking lizard thing, and your water duck to choose from. My son chose the fire type alligator looking thing. He already has that thing, I think, on it's like 2nd or 3rd evolution now.
Oh wow.
He's been going hard at this game. He has already taken out a couple of the gyms. He's been going all over the place on this thing.
Yeah, man.
From what I can tell and with talking with him, it seems like it's just the same thing as what Arceus was. So if you didn't like the open world aspect of that Pokemon game, and I think they said they also did it for Black and White.
I don't know. I didn't play.
I don't remember. My sick brain cannot make coherent thoughts right now.
Right.
But anyway, so if you didn't like how Jesus, I just said the
Arceus.
Arceus, thank you.
Yeah. It seems like that's the new direction they're kind of going down.
If you didn't like the open world direction of that, it's pretty much just that again. So if you didn't like that, you may not like this one.
Bummer.
I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
So and just I also think it's kind of funny that the Pokemon are just there for you to find and explore and to do things with now too. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Just it's getting a lot of flack right now online, and it's justifiable. But
the game's pretty broken, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not Bethesda open world broken yet.
That's right.
So,
right.
Hey. It's jank. It's not broken.
That's right.
Whatever you want to call it, man.
This a lot of the stuff online, this one goes past jank and into just like maybe portions of this game should have been in the oven for longer because it's some unfinished stuff, which is a bummer.
my God, a lot of people too was like, well, the Switch is so weak. It's like, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out this year.
Yeah, like, and it runs great. Like,
yeah,
Breath of
so
the Wild didn't have these problems. Like, it's
no.
The Switch is underpowered. And there are games you can see that it's kind of bursting at the seams, but this is a different problem, I think.
Well, I think that's part of the issue is that people don't understand that when you optimize for something,
right,
you can pull a lot out of it.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, hey, we have an SSD and we have, an RTX 4090 and,
Mm-hmm.
we have all this stuff and we just throw crap at it because we can.
Yeah.
That's not how you should do it, and that's why we have all these issues. But anyway, I'm not going to go down this whole stupid road because then I'm just going to ramble. But anyway, so far, though, if you are looking at picking it up, I would say go for it. It looks like a fun. I'm still kind of interested in checking it out as well. I don't know about the crafting. I completely forgot to ask them. I don't think you craft like the Pokeballs and stuff like that like you did in Arceus.
Oh, okay.
I think it's back to the old system of it. You're just finding random Pokeballs and you can pick them up in the shop.
That'd be great.
It is kind of cool too that with this open world aspect, the towns are still like you can still see the town. And I know this is stupid, but you can see the towns. And you can just stroll up in there.
That's cool.
It just feels weird because it's on a Nintendo system and it feels like it should be doing like a screen wipe and then
like you leave Route 10 and now you're in the town and
it's just one of those dumb things. It's like, oh, look at you guys go.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's all I have to say on that. Pokemon Violet looks pretty sweet. So
nice.
That's all I didn't play this week.
My first game here is Jack Move. I've been having a love-hate relationship with Jack Move over the last couple of weeks. I really like this game. I think it has a lot of promise. The deeper I get into the game, the more that my main issue with it kind of gets worse. Because my main issue so far has been boss battles are a slog, where you're either going to win or you aren't. And that's pretty apparent within like a turn or two. And then you just have to slog through thousands of health in this boss battle. That really feels like it's the case for random battles at this point now too. And I'm not sure. The problem is, in a lot of RPGs, it's pretty easy to tell, oh, I'm going into this area and I'm level 10 and I'm fighting something that's level 25 and I get one shot. I'm clearly either in the wrong area or I missed a bunch of side quests or the game is expecting me to grind or something. There's usually pretty clear communication of you have messed up in some sort of way. I'm not getting any of that from Jack Move. And I don't really have any side quests in my log, and I'm kind of just doing the next area that I'm supposed to be doing. So halfway through the area I was just in, I turned on the in-game kind of win button. We saw this in Eichenfell, where it's just kind of like complete this battle for me successfully. You get character experience, but you don't really get experience for your skills because you didn't use them in battle. So through this last dungeon, I kind of used that the entire time, and because all of the random battles were getting to be that level of grind, and then I used it about halfway through the boss battle because I'm like, well, I'm going to win this. Well, I'm going to spend 10 more minutes when it's kind of a foregone conclusion. So I finished that, and then I got a really big story event, which was pretty good. This game is well written, and then the game told me to wander around while my friend is going to do like a hacking thing. And I think I'm done. Like, there's no malice in it. I think I'm kind of done with my experience. I like Jack Move a lot. I think I'm good at this point in kind of a way that's a bummer. And I wish this game communicated stuff a little bit better or was maybe a little bit less. They added, in a patch since I played it last, they have added an option where you can change your encounter rate when you're walking around the world, which is great. And I need every single RPG to have that, because you can change it down from none, and there's like 6 or 7 other options, all the way up to basically like every step I have a battle. So if you want to grind and you want to raise all this stuff up, great, you can do that super easily. But I think I'm just kind of done with it, which I'm kind of sad about, because I like it,
sucks.
but you know, it's fine. So I wanted to love you, Jack Move, and you wouldn't let me, which is kind of a bummer.
We're just giving you tough love.
That's right. That's right. Next game here. Just wanted to quickly talk about Immortality again, because that's the game I spent the majority of my week playing, other than Vampire Survivors. But we recorded a game club for that, and had a really good conversation about that. If you wanted to pick up Immortality, number one, I wanted to talk about it because I spent a really long time trying to find a trailer that didn't have anything explicit in it, which was way harder than I was expecting to be. Unsurprisingly, after finishing that game. But Immortality is a really cool kind of singular thing, and I think we had a really, really good conversation about the real strengths and weaknesses of Immortality. And I think this is one of the better game clubs we've put out, but like we talked about at the beginning, it is nearly immediately 100% spoilery. So go spend the less than 10 hours playing Immortality. It's on Game Pass on PC and Series consoles, and it's on mobile if you have a Netflix subscription. So go check out Immortality.
Oh, is
cool.
it one of those games? I didn't realize it was a Netflixy kind of
jelly. Yeah, Netflix published it on mobile, and it's only in their app. So, or however you download it, it's always a little confusing. All right, next game here, God of War Ragnarok. I have completed the second area. Much like the first one, you're kind of going to a bunch of different sort of very distinct areas. And I have started and completed the second area. I'm pretty impressed by... So once you get to the second area and you do kind of like the introductory stuff in there, I was pretty impressed by them saying like, okay, you can go left in this boat to go do your main objective, or you can go right and there's like 3 side quests for you to do, and it kind of plops a bunch of side quests in your quest inventory there. And I did all the side quests because I wanted to see, number one, what the rewards are, but then kind of number two, what the side quests were going to look like. Because you sort of expect early side quests to be of a high quality, because usually they kind of lead strong with that stuff. And the side quests were essentially like, go free this large prisoner, and then go shut down these 3 mining rigs in this this lake area. And both of those were pretty cool. The prisoner one turned out to be a larger and more detailed thing than I thought it was going to be. And then the mining rigs one, actually, Mimir was very clear about like, hey, why don't you catch the stuff that's coming out of here? This is probably like a precious resource. Wink. And it eventually turned into you get like 2 of these ores that come out of each one, and then you use that to make a full armor set with Brock and Sindri, which was kind of a nice reward for doing. It's not like a game-changing thing, because I'm still pretty early on, but it was nice to have not only like XP and get some armor, but here's a cool armor set that you can forge from the side quest that you just did. And once you get all of the information that you're looking for, you're kind of looking for a specific person in the second area. The dungeon they have you go into to kind of rescue that person turned out to be way cooler than I thought it was going to be. And I think the environmental puzzles they're having me do in that realm, I'm kind of glad I'm done with for the moment, because they were starting to overstay their welcome a lot. It was a lot of like...
It's like those shifting the flow of water. And,
yeah, like water wheels and stuff, which is a cool idea, but I think by the time I had to like stop this one to stop that one to stop this one, I was like, okay, like I get it. Like I'm sort of ready to move on to the next thing. So I don't know. I've been enjoying it. I'm kind of taking this one a little slow because I wanted to see the side quests in the second area. And as a result, I didn't really kind of mainline my way through. But I'm enjoying it so far. I think Ragnarok has a lofty goal to meet, which is God of War 2018 kind of revitalized the franchise. And so far, Ragnarok is, this is a good thing, it's more of the same. Like, it plays just like the first one. We're doing a lot of the same combos. You have sort of similar skills, but the storytelling and the cinematics and the performance capture and the voice acting, all of that stuff is incredible. Like it is, especially for Santa Monica Studios. But I'm excited to see if there's, especially on the gameplay kind of combat side, if they're going to take any major steps forward with this stuff over the first one. Because if it's going to be more of the same from the first one, that's fine. But I'm hoping there'll be a thing, there'll be a hook here that I'll kind of appreciate. And if there isn't, fine. But if there is, that would be kind of cool.
So. I do enjoy too how they've stepped up Mimir and Kratos talking a lot more. So since Atreus is a lot older, I also find it hilarious too. In the beginning, when you see Mimir, Kratos and Atreus don't have Mimir with them. They left him back in the cabin, and what they did was they just hang him up and put a spoon in his mouth so he could sit there and turn the pages of a book that he's reading.
Yeah, he's just like hanging out in the cabin reading the book.
Yeah,
it's really good.
But then you can tell, like we talked about last time about the passage of time, about how Kratos and Mimir have become a lot more comfortable around each other.
Yes,
because I mean, hell, I don't want to. Never mind, that's a spoiler. I'm not going to say anything about that.
Well, I think to your point, it is striking because in the first game, it's a lot of Kratos being like, "Shut up, Mimir! Like you're just ahead."
Yeah.
And pretty quickly in the beginning of this game, in like the first hour or so, Mimir is still dragging info out of Kratos, but after like a grumbly pause, Kratos is telling him the truth.
Yeah, he's starting to open up.
Yeah, which is I think a pretty big departure from the first game, which is great because I want the story to continue from where the first one was, and it feels like it's doing so in a natural way, which I really appreciate.
Well, especially once they start talking about the poetry that you find in the game.
Yeah.
Because Mimir will go back and forth with Kratos talking about, okay, who's your favorite poet, or do you have a favorite poet yet? And Kratos is like, yeah, of course I do. It's like, I come from a civilized, time.
Right.
It's like Sparta had poets, and then he lists off who his favorite poet is, and something like that. And it was cool just to see them go back and forth. And then you also find out that Kratos did eventually learn the Norse language, so you don't need Atreus there to translate stuff for you anymore. Which now it's kind of weird because instead of Atreus telling you what a thing is, you just kind of hold up Mimir's head.
Yeah, Mimir goes, interesting. What a good joke. And it's like, what? Wait, oh, right.
Yeah, and then you have to open the notebook and figure out what was happening.
Yeah.
Did you have... I assume that you have found at least one or two of the poetry books.
I have, yeah. I think there was 2 or 3 in the first area, I think. So I have a couple of those, yeah.
Did you read them or take a look at them?
I glanced over one of them, yeah.
Did you notice what was on the covers?
No.
Okay. You probably should.
I'll go look at those then.
And you may need more than what you have now.
Oh,
I know the first one that I got was like, that looks vaguely familiar. And then I think it was the third one that I got. I was like, oh, what the heck? Come on, guys.
Right. Okay, I'll have to go check that out. I am impressed with a couple of additional things. The ravens, were they green in the first one?
Yes.
Okay. They feel, at least in the very early, I think I have destroyed 8 or so of them out of the 45 or whatever is in the game. I like that the captions, if you have the full captions on, you can hear that there's a crow around. And I kind of like the little environmental puzzle they have with those. I must have missed what they're called, but those barking lizard things that you need to sneak around behind and throw your axe at. It's this kind of neat environmental puzzle where you hear this barking sort of noise. You see this kind of long lizard thing, and if you try to get close to it or throw your axe where it's looking at you, it just goes underground. But if you kind of get around it, usually you have to go up and kind of back up and down and around. If you throw your axe behind it, it'll drop some kind of rarer materials, which I think is kind of a fun little thing, because you have your normal chests, you have the runic chests that return from the first one. So you have one more fun thing to do in the environments as opposed to go from here to here to here to here, which I appreciate. And we're talking about I don't want to spoil it, but freeing the large prisoner in the first area, Mimir made a mistake in the past in that area you're in. Well, I guess a series of mistakes. And it's interesting because Kratos is pretty honest with Atreus and Mimir about yeah, you messed up, man. You did a series of real bad things. And I think it's interesting how he uses that opportunity to teach Atreus a lesson while still offering a little bit of grace to Mimir, which is, I think, a hard balance to find, kind of writing wise. But the guy that voices Kratos is still doing a really great job with his performance here.
Yeah, because I think it was Mimir who had said something about I think he just kind of just says out loud, is do you ever think I would be forgiven? Mm-hmm. And I think it was Kratos who's no, none of us will ever be forgiven. Yep. But you've recognized that this was a mistake and you're rectifying it.
Yeah, you're trying to do what you can to make a bad situation better.
Yeah.
And
there's
Mimir's voice act. Okay.
Well, I was just going to say, there's just a lot of growing up that has happened in this game.
Yeah, kind of for everybody, because Mimir's voice actor is really great, and there was a couple of scenes while you're doing that side quest for that large prisoner, and even Atreus is so you purposely lied to them, you did this horrible thing on purpose, and all Mimir had to say was and it's just he messed up, man. He made a bad choice in a bad situation as he was forced to, and he's gonna try and make amends. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that a side quest had any level of story implications and any level of heaviness to it, other than yeah, go kill these enemies, go kill these undead things at 3 locations, and then I don't know, you get an armor set. There's stuff to it, which I appreciate. So, but unfortunately, my kid is off school this entire week on vacation, which means I will not be able to play God of War Ragnarok for the entire week, which is a real bummer because I finally feel like I'm kind of starting to click with it a little bit. Not that it wasn't good, but you start feeling the hooks get into you. We're like, all right, now I did some side quests. Like I'm starting to get some upgrades. I'm starting to get I'm upgrading my armor. I'm starting to get like a build together. Yeah, all right, we've got some stuff going on here. So, so far so good. God of War Ragnarok. I don't want to spoil anything else since it's still fresh. So, last game I played this week though, recently came to consoles after a delay is Norco. This is a Southern Gothic kind of post-apocalyptic point-and-click adventure sort of thing. I started this... I made a mistake. Started this nearly immediately after finishing Immortality, and the beginning of this game is narratively heavy, and I was like, all right, I don't think I could do a back-to-back thing like this, so I got maybe 30 minutes into Norco, and I was like, I need a couple of days between Immortality and Norco, but immediately it seems like a thing I would really click with, because you're making a series of seemingly important narrative decisions at the beginning of Norco, and kind of telling this southern tale, and showing some pretty striking imagery of you kind of choosing your fate here at the beginning of the game. So I know a lot of people really love it. TVGP alumnus, the Hannah, has been telling me for months that he really, really, really liked it. And I've just been waiting for it to come to consoles. It's on Game Pass as well. And I think it's sub 10 hours. It's not a super long thing. So I just need a little bit of breathing room from coming off of Immortality before jumping into something else that's pretty heavy.
Sit down, hug your daughter, watch a couple kid shows.
That's right. Yeah, get a little palate cleanser there. But that's all I've been playing this week. So let's take a break.
Yep. Be right back.
All right. Oh man.
Did you find the chest for the ravens yet?
No, I didn't know there was one. So essentially what happened is I finished that second area, and then you go back to, let's call it your home base, and then they're like, go talk to this person. And I was like, that's a great time to pause the game and save it. So like, I feel like because of what you just did, it feels like it's a great time for the game to say, like, here are more mechanics. And I was just like, all right, before this game continues to pull me in, I need to go pick my kid up from school. So, like, it's a great time to save the game.
That's the other thing. I feel like they do, like, a really good job with telling you, hey, you can continue the story or just faff off and do whatever without
100%.
telling you that.
Yeah.
It's like you feel that there's a lull. It's like, oh, okay, I can go do something else.
Yeah. Atreus will be like, hey, we can go do this thing if you want to. And I kind of like that.
But yeah, there's more stuff tied with the ravens now.
Oh, okay. That's
you're
fun.
like, you're right there. So and it's not story related so far. I haven't really messed with it a whole lot, but it was really cool being introduced to that.
Nice.
So
yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot, and I'm a little grumpy that like my kid's school is off for an entire week for Thanksgiving, because I'm like, I've had almost zero time to play this game, and I'm like really itching to just have one of those. Like I'm a stay-at-home dad, so like I think people think it's like, I've got 6 hours to play video games straight, and it's like, no, I have like house things to do while a tiny human isn't in it. Like, which is like the perfect opportunity to like attempt to clean. So like I'm been itching for one of those sessions where you sit down for like 2 or 3 straight hours and just really dive into it, and I haven't had one. It's starting to make me a little grumpy. So
one of the games in a while where it's like I really want to talk about it, but I don't want to spoil anybody on anything.
Well, and it's like it's hard to talk about this game without spoiling like main mechanics from the first one too.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are maybe missed out on the PS4 era, so they're kind of picking up a PS5 and maybe going back through the hits of the PS4 era, especially with a lot of that stuff being on PS Plus, whatever the game catalog is called. Essential, like they need a good name for it, like Game Pass. But I know a lot of people have been picking up, like I know some people have been picking up Death Stranding as well. So it's like I would love to talk more about any of these games, but it's all spoilers.
Well, that was something that I had talked with a couple other people too who had asked me, is like, do you feel that playing the original God of War games, like the remastered versions, are worth it?
Oh, sure.
And I'd flat out told him, yeah, you definitely should play those, because not only do you get to see the franchise grow up, because we don't have the sex mini games in these two games. You don't have, the misogyny and all that stuff that, was common for the time.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have all this back lore. You have all this information on what happened.
Yep.
And like we were talking about, you're watching a character develop, and you don't see that a whole lot in video games.
Right. And I bet they're still fun to play too. Like the mainline games at the very least are probably still a blast.
Well, as I said, they had the PS3 remake, HD remake, which I think is on the Essential. I think they added that to Essentials now.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that had at least one of the PSP games on it. I don't know if it had both of them.
I was just thinking that. I was like, I remember one of the PSP games, I think the first one maybe came to something. And I don't remember what. That game was okay.
But I mean, I think it just gives you a way more in-depth look on how things are developing, and kind of gives you like that weird spine-tingling thing of like, holy shit, things are changing.
Yeah. And I bet for those original games, you could probably put the difficulty all the way down and just kind of like blow through them and have a blast. Like, you don't need to play them.
Don't get the platinum in those things.
Yeah, like don't try and like put them on the hardest difficulty or anything. You're just punishing yourself. All right, are you guys ready for the second segment?
Yep.
Try and get all of us back to bed.
Yes.
All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of November 21st, 2022. Evil West comes out for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. This is kind of a neat-looking third-person action beat-em-up. It's some eldritch horror has infested the Wild West. Go punch them. Go punch some demons. It looks kind of neat. I didn't really recognize the developer. I think it's maybe their first game, but it looks kind of like a neat little thing. I'm curious to see how this one's going to review. Next game, probably a game that only I care about. Gungrave Gore. It's coming out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. This is Game Pass day and date. This is a sequel to the PS2 Gungrave game that only I really enjoyed. It is very much a Dreamcast era Sega game, and it was a cool third person shooter beat 'em up thing, and it looks like it's largely the same thing over again. Where you have a giant coffin that is a gun strapped to your back.
Coffin. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's called the Death Hauler, which is so dumb. I love it. So I will probably be checking out this game, and it will only be me, and that's okay. I've come to terms with what I enjoy.
I'll check it out. Look, this looks a lot like a Binary Domain as well. which is also from Sega and probably the same team, but
yeah, I feel like it's very much of that era of Sega where it's like it's probably going to be a couple hours long. It will be kind of dumb fun. It's not the best game you have played this year, but it probably has one or two things in it that are probably kind of charming, and it will probably be very much a B game, which is okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
that's a B game.
Yeah, we love a B game. Just Dance 2023 is coming out for PS5, Series consoles, and the Switch, which I believe that this is the first consoles it's coming out on, and I think it's coming out to the other stuff here pretty shortly. I would be surprised if it's a current gen only game. That seems to be counter to what Just Dance is all about. Also, it's not out on mobile devices yet that I've seen, which would be a strange choice.
Because you got to get that Bluetooth, Matt.
That's right. And lastly, here we have another game, Ship of Fools, which is published by Team 17. This is a co-op ship sailing roguelike, which I've been keeping an eye on for a while. It's you and another person kind of doing a lovers in a dangerous space-time sort of ship controlling thing. And you have an FTL-style map that you're navigating, and two of you are battening down the hatches and doing a bunch of exploring and discovering. This game looks really cool. I would really recommend watching a trailer for this. I think it, as like a two-player co-op thing, we don't get a lot of roguelikes in that vein, and I think it's it seems like a really cool thing. So, highly recommended you check that out.
You have to get your fix somehow, right?
That's right. I have to like pull other people into my problem. Ship of Fools is a synonym for TVGP, says Viewer in chat. That's right. That's right. No, Ship of Fools is like when I convince people to rank things with me.
Yeah. No, because you got two different things that you're poisoning people's wells with. You've got the pirate thing and you've got the roguelike thing, so it's two things for one.
That's right. Gotta love it. All right, let's talk about our news story this week. Microsoft has shelved their streaming device due to high costs. Phil Spencer was on a podcast recently talking about this, and you know, everybody has been playing the game of like what's on his shelf behind him, and there was a device a couple months ago that was on there, and that was one of the like a prototype of the streaming device. He said, quote, "I think you've got to be $129, $99, like somewhere in there for its release to make sense in my view. We just weren't there. We weren't there with the controller. The reason it's on my shelf is the team rolled up their sleeves, and in 9 months they built that thing. And a bunch of us took it home, and it worked. It worked really, really well," end quote. So it's interesting to see. I think he's right. I think if you put that thing out with a controller for more than $100, it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, because I think you need that that price point of like, oh yeah, I'll get it. Like, sure, it comes with a controller, it's streaming, yeah, all right, I'll plug it into my TV, no big deal. And for it to be more than that feels like you have the conversation of like, well, why wouldn't I just pick up a Series S at that point? He did say, though, that a lot of that tech that they worked on is the streaming tech on the consoles. So a lot of that stuff, especially the stuff that they put on the Xbox One to stream the like 4K 60 frames stuff, if you can't find or purchase like a Series X, that's the streaming tech they were using over there to say like, look, maybe you have the TV to do this, and maybe you have the connection to do this, but you just don't have the console or you can't find it yet. You can at least stream that stuff. So it seems like that tech was still used over there. It's just look like the global supply chain is still borked at this point. So like, I'm sure they were ready to like put this thing out and get it done, and I'm sure they were looking at components, and it's like, yeah, this thing's gonna cost like $150. That's I was
gonna say, because they've probably got everything finally figured out for just trying to get consoles in, because like I can go out now. Actually, I did today. Like I was in a store that had PS5s in both versions of the Xboxes, and I haven't seen all three of those together ever.
Yeah, and like Microsoft's online store in the PlayStation Direct, 99% of the time you can just go to one of those online and just buy a console now. So like,
yeah, so now if you're trying to remap and remake a production line for something completely new, and now you have to reorganize all this, and hey, guess what? We're all starting to not starting to. We're all feeling inflation. Like, go to your grocery store. The stuff is expensive again.
Yeah.
So
so it's kind of a bummer because I've been, talking about end of the year predictions. I've been predicting this thing for a couple of years, and it seems like it's been their natural next step of like, it's like a Roku stick or like an Amazon Fire Stick. You just plug in your TV and it does a bunch of stuff. It seems like the next evolution of Game Pass for them, which is like, you spend X dollars a month and you get the streaming stick and you're playing Xbox games, like whatever, you're playing hundreds of games on this thing. But I agree that that's not the right price, so which is not surprising, but it's kind of a bummer. But the price must have been pretty up there if they still weren't going to come out with it. So,
or like you were saying, it was just close enough to the S that it was like, this doesn't make sense. So
yeah, because how much does the S cost now?
I think it's
$300.
I was gonna say, I think it's still $299.
Okay, yeah. So if you're coming out with like, let's say this streaming device was maybe like $150 with a controller, and you still look at it and be like, well, I just spend more money and just get a full console. So it's understandable. Yeah. All right. That's all of our news stories for this week. I think everybody needs to go to bed and get better. So we're gonna call it an episode there. Thank you very much. Thank you, Farrow in chat says $300 for the Series S.
Okay.
Thank you for that. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Don't forget the Discord server that we were talking about earlier. Go fill out the forums over there for predictions and community game of the year. The more stuff that's in there means we have a longer episode at the end of the year. So I like putting out more content. So go please fill that out. And if you're playing Marvel Snap, come talk about your deck with us because we got a hop-in channel over there. That's right.
My ears are muffled because
waiting for someone to giggle about that.
Yeah.
I'll veto that title early, by the way. And don't forget the YouTube. Sorry, I made Nip start coughing. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. And trying to promote that a little bit more. Anything we record audio for, we record video for, even if we don't go live. So the Game Club we just recorded, We Roguelike It, Critical Misses, all of that stuff has a video version that goes up on the YouTube channel. So if you want to see our visages, that might not be the plural of that, but that's okay. You can do so over there on the YouTube channel. And don't forget patreon.com/E1M1.
That was one of the digits.
Your financial support helps a lot because we are that pays for all of the hosting, both sort of website and podcast hosting wise, which is a huge weight off of our shoulders, and we sincerely appreciate it. Appreciate all of the patrons greatly. And if you can't support us financially, totally understand. You can support us by sharing the episode on social media, whatever the social media of choice is for you currently.
Yeah.
And telling your friends, word of mouth especially, is huge, and really, really helps out not only this show, but kind of anything you listen to or watch or enjoy or any of that stuff online. So thank you very much, everyone, for your support. And I think that's it for this episode. So we'll see you all next time. Bye.
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 All right, Nimp. What are your titles? I'm sorry.
What is your titles?
What is your titles?
I've got two.
Okay.
I have We're All Sick and My First Ego Match.
My First Ego Match. All right, Moon, what do you have?
This guy again, 39 and 2 cubes, Patriot deck, pull one out for Maki, put your pride on the line, Ego versus Agatha, and House Grape.
I also have House Grape, which is...
I completely forgot
really
about that.
Yeah.
The insignia is an actual grape, like a vine, grapevine.
Really?
I can put words together, yay!
That's really good. All right, I have the Giant Chad, Three Houses Pokemon version, House Grape, We're All Sick, and My First Ego Match.
I like put your pride on the line. Like
your pride on the line. That one's good too.
I think put your pride on the line, House Grape, and My First Ego Match.
Yeah, I kind of like all three of those. I don't know if I feel strongly about any of these. They're all good.
Yeah. Let's go with House Grape then.
I'm okay with that. Let me try.
Random enough that.
Let me see if my new chat message worked, and it did not. All right, let me circle House Grape. Let me know when you guys are ready.
I'm ready.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up with anything, man. It's going to involve thinking.
I mean, you could just say that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. Yeah, go ahead. I'm good.
There we go. It worked. All right. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 787 for November 21st, 2022. House Grape.
Stomp them down and watch them ferment.
Coming from the land of the setting sun.
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. Greatly appreciate it, and we hope we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.